Right now, there's a tool that can take 30 seconds of your voice and clone it well enough that people can't tell the difference. That's not a party trick, it's a business. Voice actors are using it to take on 10 times the client work without wearing out their voice. Audiobook narrators are using it to finish a book in a weekend instead of a month. And complete beginners, people who have never touched a microphone professionally, are using it to land their first paid voiceover job this month. In this video, I'm covering the whole thing, start to finish. How ElevenLabs voice cloning actually works, the two methods you can use to clone a voice, how to turn a script into a finished, client-ready voiceover file, which pricing plan makes sense for you, and then the part almost every tutorial on this skips. The real platforms where people are getting paid for this right now, roughly what they earn, and the platform rules you need to follow so you don't get an account banned over something avoidable. By the end of this, you'll know enough to clone your own voice and generate your first paid quality voiceover today with zero prior voice acting experience. Let's get into it. Before we touch the tool, it helps to understand what's actually happening because it changes how you use it and how you sell it. Voice cloning doesn't record and replay your voice like a sample library. It learns the characteristics of your voice, your pitch, your pacing, your accent, the specific way certain sounds come out of your mouth, even little verbal habits you don't notice yourself doing. It encodes all of that into a model, and that model can then generate brand new sentences, things you never actually said in situations you were never in a voice that still sounds unmistakably like yours. That distinction matters because it's the whole reason this is useful for work. You're not stuck re-recording every time a client wants a change. You're not stuck in front of a microphone for 8 hours narrating a book. You write or paste the words, the model speaks them in your voice, and if a line needs to change, you regenerate that one line instead of the whole session. ElevenLabs gives you two different ways to build that model, and they work differently under the hood. Not just a fast option and a slow option with the same result. The first method is instant voice cloning, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Under 2 minutes of clean audio and you have a working clone in seconds. Here's the part most people don't realize. It's not training a brand new model on your voice from scratch. It's matching your sample against ElevenLabs' existing voice models and making a fast, educated guess at how your voice would say anything. That's why it's instant, and it's also why long passages or unusual phrasing can sometimes sound a little off, the same way a good impression can slip on an uncommon word. Watch how fast this actually is. I upload one short, clean sample. No background music, no echo, just me talking normally for around a minute. I give the voice a name, confirm it, and that's it. It's already sitting in my voice library, ready to generate speech on demand. Now let's test it. I'll type a sentence it has never heard me say and generate it from scratch. That's the entire process for instant voice cloning. A couple of minutes from zero to a working voice. It's good enough for short form content, quick social clips, and testing whether a voice even works for a project before you commit real time to it. It's available starting on the $6 a month starter plan. And for a lot of casual creators, that's as far as you'll ever need to go. But if you want to actually get paid for this, if the plan is client work and not just personal content, there's a second method built for exactly that. Professional voice cloning is the method that matters if voiceover income is the goal. Instead of one short sample, you feed the system a much larger set of your own voice recordings. Ideally, 30 minutes or more of clean, varied speech, different sentence structures, different emotional tones. ElevenLabs then fine-tunes an actual dedicated model on your voice specifically, and that usually takes a few hours to finish processing on their end. The difference between the two methods shows up the moment you generate anything longer than a sentence. An instant clone can wobble slightly over a long paragraph, a stress pattern that's not quite right, a word that comes out a touch flat. A properly trained professional clone holds up. Consistent tone, consistent pacing, consistent character, from the first minute of a recording to the last. That's the entire reason audiobook narrators and anyone doing a recurring series use this tier. The voice has to sound identical in Chapter 1 and Chapter 20, or listeners notice right away. Listen to that against the instant clone from a minute ago. Same voice, same person, but this one holds together over the full paragraph without a single odd stress or pause. Professional voice cloning is available starting on the Creator Plan at $22 a month. If voiceover work is something you're doing more than once, and if you're watching this for the income angle, it will be, this is the plan to be on. The quality gap is the whole reason a client pays you instead of just typing their script into a free tool themselves. So now you've got a clone, either method. Here's exactly how you turn a script into a file a paying client would actually accept. You paste your script into the text box. This can be a couple of sentences or several thousand words in one pass. Before you generate anything, there are 3 settings that change the output, and knowing what they do saves you a lot of trial and error. Stability controls how consistent the delivery is versus how expressive and varied it sounds. Lower it and you get more emotional range. Push it higher and it gets flatter but far more reliable, which is what you want for long-form narration where a sudden tone swing mid-sentence would sound broken. Similarity controls how closely the output sticks to your actual voice characteristics versus taking more creative liberty with the delivery. And speed is exactly what it sounds like. Most professional client work sits close to the default pace, so I rarely touch it unless a script specifically calls for something faster or slower. For paid voiceover work, my settings are stability fairly high and similarity close to maximum. I generate the full file, then listen back start to finish for anything that sounds even slightly off. A mispronounced brand name, an odd pause where a comma shouldn't be. The part that saves the most time is that you can regenerate just that one flag section instead of redoing the entire file. Once every section sounds right, you export as MP3 or WAV depending on what the client asked for. And that's a finished deliverable, ready to send. Start to finish. A job that would have taken a full day of recording, retakes, and editing with a physical microphone can realistically take under an hour with this workflow. Quick practical break before the income section, because I get asked this a lot. The free plan gets you about 10 minutes of generated speech a month, fine for testing the tool, not for real work. Starter at $6 unlocks instant voice cloning and a commercial license, which is the minimum you need to legally sell anything you make. Creator at $22 is where professional voice cloning unlocks, and if you're serious about client work at all, this is the plan to start on because the quality jump is what gets you hired a second time by the same client. Above that, Pro and Scale exists for people generating large volumes every month. Think full-time audiobook narrators or agencies. You'll know you need one of those tiers because you'll be hitting the character limit on Creator regularly, not before. For almost everyone watching this to start a side income, Creator at $22 a month is the right starting point. It pays for itself with a single small gig. This is the part most tutorials skip entirely, so let's get into it. Where the money comes from, roughly what it pays, and the rules you can't afford to ignore. Gig platforms, Fiverr, Upwork, Voices.com, and Voice123 are where most people start, and for good reason. There's no gatekeeping. You list a voiceover gig or bid directly on client jobs. Ads, e-learning course narration, game characters, YouTube videos, you record with your clone, deliver the file, and get paid. It's active income. Cash flow is fast, but it stops the moment you stop taking jobs. This is the easiest way in because you can have a listing live today with zero portfolio required to start. Audiobook narration through ACX is the highest paying single category here, and the real numbers are worth knowing. Beginners typically start around $85 per finished hour of audio. Experienced narrators charge between $150 and $250 per finished hour. A single audiobook can easily run 10 finished hours or more, so one book at an experienced rate can be a $1,500 to $2,500 project. But here's the catch. A CX generally requires human narration, and plain AI-generated submissions aren't accepted. The one authorized path is ACX's own voice replica program, where you, as a real narrator, create an approved computer-generated replica of your own voice specifically for that platform. If audiobooks are the goal, that program, not a workaround, is a legitimate way in. Passive royalties through ElevenLabs' own voice library are the closest thing to passive income in this whole space. You upload a high-quality sample of your voice, other creators and developers license it to generate their own content, and you earn a royalty every time it's used. You do the setup work once, and it can keep paying out as long as people are choosing your voice. Now, the part that actually protects your account and your income long-term. Every legitimate platform here requires that you're using your own voice with your own consent, disclosed as synthetic wherever the platform requires it. Fiverr requires full rights and authorization for any voice used in a service, and it prohibits cloning someone else's voice, including public figures, without their direct permission. That's not a loophole to hunt for. It's the exact line that gets accounts permanently banned and payouts frozen. The sustainable version of this business is simple. Clone your own voice, scale your own output, and work with clients who know exactly what they're getting. That's it. That's the whole legitimate version of this, and it's more than enough to build real income on. If you're starting from nothing today, here's the order I do this in. First, record your professional voice cloning sample. 30 plus minutes, quiet room, varied sentences, no background music or hum. This one recording session is the foundation for everything after it, so don't rush it. Second, generate 3 or 4 short demo clips in different styles. One conversational, one for ads, one for narration. Clients hire off a demo reel, not off a promise that you sound good. Third, create free profiles on voices.com and voice 123 and one properly written listing on Fiverr with those demo clips attached front and center. Fourth, price your first few jobs lower than you think you should. You're building reviews at this stage, not maximizing a single invoice. The reviews are what get you picked over someone else next time. And fifth, once you've got a handful of 5-star jobs delivered, that's your signal to raise your rate and start applying to bigger, better paying client work, or look seriously into ACX's voice replica program if audiobook narration is the direction you want to take this. None of this requires a home studio or a background in voice acting. It requires one clean recording session, an honest listing, and actually following the platform rules we just covered. Before we wrap up, 3 mistakes I see all the time because avoiding them is worth more than almost anything else in this video. Mistake 1, recording your clone sample with any background noise at all. A fan, traffic outside a window, an air conditioner hum. The model doesn't just learn your voice, it can pick up faint texture from the room, and that texture shows up in everything you generate afterward. Re-record in the quietest room you have access to, even if that means a closet full of clothes muffling the echo. It sounds like overkill until you hear the difference. Mistake 2, submitting a demo reel that's all one style. If every clip on your profile sounds like a calm audiobook narrator, you'll only ever get audiobook inquiries. Record one warm and conversational, one upbeat and energetic for ads, one flat and authoritative for corporate or e-learning work. Range is what gets you considered for more job types, not just more clips. Mistake 3, treating the default generation settings as final. The very first take out of the tool is rarely your best take. Adjust stability if a line sounds emotionally flat. Regenerate a single sentence if the pacing is off, and listen on headphones before you deliver anything. Clients notice small imperfections that a laptop speaker will hide. 5 extra minutes here is the difference between a client leaving a 5-star review or quietly never hiring you again. If this saved you the hours it took me to figure all of this out, do me a favor. Hit like, share it with anyone even thinking about voice work, and subscribe because I'm covering a new AI tool like this every week, and the next one might be the one that pays your bills. The link to ElevenLabs is in the description if you want to try this yourself right now. See you in the next one.